In 1964, the FBI mailed Martin Luther King Jr. a letter telling him to kill himself. The letter arrived alongside a recording the FBI had made by illegally wiretapping his hotel rooms. It told him he had 34 days before the recording would be released to the public. It told him there was only one thing left for him to do. The FBI wanted America's most prominent civil rights leader dead before he could accept the Nobel Peace Prize. This was not the work of a rogue agent. It was authorized at the highest levels of the United States government. This is COINTELPRO, the FBI's secret domestic surveillance and sabotage program. And what makes it truly disturbing is not just what they did to Martin Luther King. It is how many other people they did it to and how long they got away with it. COINTELPRO stood for Counterintelligence Program, and it ran from 1956 to 1971. It was authorized by FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, one of the most powerful men in America, who had been running the FBI since 1935 and had accumulated enough dirt on enough politicians that virtually nobody in Washington was willing to challenge him. The stated purpose of COINTELPRO was to identify and neutralize domestic threats to American security. In practice, it was used to destroy anyone Hoover personally considered an enemy of the American way of life. That list included civil rights leaders, anti-war activists, feminist organizations, socialist groups, and anyone else Hoover decided was dangerous. The tactics used were not surveillance alone. The FBI forged letters to create conflict between organizations. They sent anonymous tips to employers to get targets fired from their jobs. They contacted landlords to have targets evicted from their homes. They planted informants inside civil rights organizations who reported on internal discussions and in some cases actively encouraged illegal activity to give the FBI grounds for prosecution. They spread false information to the press to destroy reputations. They sent poison pen letters designed to break up marriages and friendships. And in the case of Martin Luther King, they attempted psychological destruction through blackmail. Hoover had been obsessed with King since the early 1960s. He considered King the most dangerous Negro in America and believed the civil rights movement was being secretly controlled by communists. Neither belief had any basis in fact. But Hoover did not need facts. The FBI bugged King's hotel rooms across the country and recorded his private conversations for years. When they captured recordings they believed were sexually compromising, they saw an opportunity. The anonymous letter sent to King in November 1964 was written by FBI agent William Sullivan and approved by senior FBI leadership. It was designed to read as if it came from a fellow Black American disgusted by King's personal behavior. It told King he was a colossal fraud and an evil, vicious one at that. It told him the American public would know what you are, an evil, abnormal beast. It told him he had 34 days. King showed the letter to his wife Coretta and his closest advisors. They concluded it was from the FBI. King did not kill himself. He accepted the Nobel Peace Prize 34 days later. The FBI's campaign against King did not stop. It continued until the day he was assassinated in Memphis in April 1968. After King's assassination, the FBI turned its attention to other targets. The Black Panther Party was designated the greatest threat to the internal security of the country by Hoover and subjected to the most intense COINTELPRO operations of the entire program. The FBI worked with local police departments to raid Black Panther offices and homes. In December 1969, Chicago police, working with the FBI, conducted a pre-dawn raid on the apartment of Black Panther leader Fred Hampton. Hampton was shot dead in his bed. He was 21 years old. A subsequent investigation found that Hampton had been shot while lying down, and that he had almost certainly been drugged before the raid by an FBI informant who had access to his home. The FBI informant, who had provided the floor plan of Hampton's apartment to the police, received a bonus payment after the raid. The officers involved were never criminally charged. COINTELPRO was exposed in 1971 when a group of activists broke into an FBI field office in Media, Pennsylvania, and stole thousands of documents. They mailed copies to newspapers across the country. The documents revealed the existence of COINTELPRO and its tactics for the first time. The FBI scrambled to contain the damage and officially shut down the program shortly after. Congressional investigations in the mid-1970s, led by Senator Frank Church, revealed the full scope of what had been done. The Church Committee concluded that the FBI had conducted a secret war against the constitutional rights of Americans across a 15-year period. J. Edgar Hoover had died in 1972 before the investigations began, and therefore faced no consequences. No FBI official was ever criminally charged for COINTELPRO operations. No one served a single day in prison. The FBI formally acknowledged in 1977 that the letter sent to Martin Luther King urging him to commit suicide had been written and sent by FBI agents. They described it as a tawdry episode. An episode. A tawdry episode. The question COINTELPRO forces you to ask is not whether your government is capable of running a secret program to destroy the lives of its own citizens for 15 years. The question is what J. Edgar Hoover knew about the politicians who could have stopped him that made every single one of them too afraid to try.